What's up, YouTube? This is YB back with another video. Today we are doing a tier list on one of my favorite franchises, A Nightmare on Elm Street. I will go ahead and rank all of the Nightmare movies in the franchise from the original to the 2010 remake. Some may agree, and I may ruffle some feathers, but that's what makes these lists fun. And if this is your first time to the channel, go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. So let's dive right in. Let's start with the original Nightmare on Elm Street. This is the one that began everything. The one that made everyone afraid to go to sleep at night. Wes Craven's masterpiece that gave us a villain that transcends horror. The premise of the original was fresh and executed with perfection. Robert English's portrayal as Freddy Krueger is so iconic that we cannot picture anyone taking up the mantle. From Tina's ceiling death to Glenn's geyser was something that was never seen before. It also introduced us to, in my opinion, the greatest final girl in horror movie history, Nancy Thompson. The original Nightmare gave us additional themes about trauma and generational secrets. There is no doubt that this movie is S tier. Let's talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. This one is definitely different, but in a good way. When I was younger, I used to skip this one all the time, but as I gotten older, I was able to appreciate this one more. I do believe that this one was more darker than the other entries, and is probably my favorite look at Freddy, as he looked even more terrifying and menacing. Jesse is on my list as one of my favorite final guys. It is an 80s movie, so it does have its cheesy moments, but it is a bold take on a franchise. No one can argue that this movie is divisive, but it became a cult classic. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in the B tier. Next up is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. As I just mentioned, I used to skip Part 2 in the past and go straight to Part 3 because I believe that Dream Warriors is the best sequel in the franchise, giving us more creative nightmares and kills. This movie also gave Freddy more personality and puns, including the iconic line, "Welcome to Primetime, bitch." Dream Warriors also brought back fan favorite Nancy Thompson, while expanding on the lore of Freddy Krueger by giving us even more of a backstory. This was still a high for us fans, and I want to go ahead and put this one on the A tier. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master is next up. Growing up, this is the first Nightmare movie I can remember watching, and it also helped introduce me to the horror genre. This is the installment where I believe Freddy is a full-fledged pop culture and MTV rock star. Dream Master also introduced us to Alice, where I believe she is an underrated final girl, and I love how she evolved throughout the film from a shy daydreamer to a straight badass. Now visually, it is a good movie, but it doesn't have as much depth as the previous installments, but it's still a watchable, solid entry. Let's go ahead and put this one in the B tier. A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child does continue Alice's story, and it is a little darker than Part 4, but it's not always a good thing in this case. It continues to tie in Freddy's origin with Alice's unborn child, which may have been good on paper, but the execution could have been better. The kills were not as imaginable, and Freddy does continue his comedic turn. The tone and pacing fell all over the place. Now, it's not the worst in the franchise, but certainly not the best. And it is a step down as we continue to move far away from the original. I'll go with C tier here. What can I say about Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare? This is rock bottom here. On no planet should Freddy be wearing a power glove. The jokes seemed to land more than the scares did. The end of Freddy's story was so far off the rails, the thing that you remember was how bad it was. It had cameos from Roseanne and Time Arnold for peace sake. And don't get me started on the 3D. This is truly the lowest point in the franchise. easily D tier. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is next. Now this movie is a return to form for the franchise. I love the way that Wes Craven reinvented the franchise with making this a meta slasher, which paved the way for Scream just 2 years later. Freddy being reimagined as an ancient evil that uses the films to enter the real world is pure genius. My favorite final girl, Heather Langenkamp, plays a fictional version of herself, as well as Nancy Thompson. Freddy, in my opinion, is even darker, more serious, and demonic. This movie, I believe, aged well and belongs in the A tier. In 2003, we finally got the Clash of the Titans, Freddy vs. Jason. The premise of the movie was outlandish, but I didn't care because we got two of my Mount Rushmore horror villains together. We all know that this movie was strictly fan service, and I loved every moment of it. The fight scenes were brutal, and both Freddy and Jason got plenty of screen time as they should. To be honest, I don't even remember the names of the main characters. Dialogue was cheesy, but Freddy and Jason carried this movie enough to a B tier. Finally, we have the 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. The film was already trying to fill big shoes left by both Wes Craven and Robert Englund. I thought at the time it had potential, but it fumbles every portion of it. Jackie Earle Haley is not the worst part of the film, but at the same time, his Freddy did not have the same charm and charisma as Englund. He did not come off as menacing enough as well. The characters were flat and forgettable, and plain and simple, it just wasn't scary. A failed attempt of this remake goes to the D tier. And there you have it, my official tier list of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Do you agree with the list? What would you change? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, for more content, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time.